women not being able to work or do this and that, and they had to do everything, didn't they? They were bus conductresses and all sorts in the war. They really worked as good as men at some of these jobs, which wasn't considered before the war. You wouldn't get a woman being on the bus conductor. So it leaped, really. The way of living leaped quite quickly. We had to live with my mum for the first 18 months. We couldn't get anywhere to live. And where she is, they were just coming in to make it a new town. And I went to the offices to register, see if I could get a house or flat or something. And they refused me. No, we're only taking people from East London. And I'd come from North London. I'll come out there in tears, I tell you. So that was that. They would consider giving us a place there. And I tried back in London. I tried there. They told me it'd be a 12-year waiting list. 12-year waiting list there. So I was stymied.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
I shed more tears in that short space of time than I've ever done. Because it was so frustrating.
Mm.
I was not a happy bunny. But we finally got, and it wasn't a very good move, but we finally got went to live in Uncle Bill Dotsbill, his mother's house. She'd bought a house. And she let the top. She had the whole house and she let the top. And her son, Dickie, was living there with his
Oh,
new
Dickie and
wife,
Stella.
Stella. And then they bought a shop. She bought they bought a shop because she was a very good seamstress, and she sold drapery and children's clothes. She made them and would sell them in the shop. She was very clever with her hands, and that's how we managed. We went to live there with his mum, with Bill's mum. Well, she was diabetic, and nearly every day, I'm not kidding you, I'd go downstairs and she'd be on the floor. She'd passed out, and it used to take me ages to sort of, she was a big lady, and I used to try and get her up, and but she would drink her Guinness. And diabetics shouldn't drink, but she used to drink 3 or 4 Guinnesses a day. And her family told me, don't let her. Well, how can I stop her?
Mm.
I thought, and they just thought because I was there, I could look after her. Well, I did often have to look after her, to pick her up off the floor, and nearly every day I had to, it was very awkward. And the two daughters would come in, oh, poor mummy, oh, she's not well, poor mummy, and bugger off. It was me that was left with her, if you know what I mean. So I didn't relish that very much. poor mummy. She just used to drink, she will drink. And I mean, it's so silly if you're diabetic and you keep passing out and that, to keep on drinking, isn't it? She died eventually. She had to have her leg off because she'd, she got something, gangrene or something. And when she had her leg off, she came home. Oh, our poor mummy, the girls said, and they buggered off. And I think Dot and Bill and Dick and Stella really were the daughters didn't do, just didn't bother. But the two daughter-in-laws used to come in and help her with her leg and everything. But I wasn't going to do that. But she did have problems, but she brought that on herself. She would drink.
So Iris was Bill's sister.
Yeah, she was the younger one. She was still at school when I used to give her a tea when she came in, because very often her mum wasn't capable. When she came in from work, she got a job. She left school, and when she came in, I used to give her something to eat. Then she got a boyfriend, but he lived at Brighton. And after a while, she went down to Brighton. They got married, and they lived in Brighton.
John.
If you remember.
I know John because she's my mother. She's my godmother, isn't she?
Mm.
Iris is my godmother.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I went to, but Iris, I used to help her a bit, get her something to eat when she came in, and life was quite fraught there.
So was you in Finsbury Park then? Was that Finsbury Park?
Yeah.
That's where I was born.
Finsbury Park. That's where his mum bought the house in Finsbury Park.
So after that you went to Aunt Mag's?
Yeah. Yeah. I moved to Aunt Mag's because I'd been out and coming home. I got in the lift at the station, went up in the lift to come out. There was always a man working the lift then, it wasn't automatic. And this is about 11 o'clock at night, I'd been out. And a man got in in the lift with a viola, quite late. He obviously worked in a restaurant somewhere. Anyway, he got in the lift, and I got in the lift. And we got out at the top. The station bloke took his cello away and put it in a cupboard. And he kept it there so that he could pick it up the next day, which started alarm bells in my head, because as we'd gone along, I thought we can't do much. He's got cello. We walked out the station together, walked down the road towards the library, and when I got to the library, I had to cross over, and 2 turnings, I had to go round to Aunt Mag's. And And when I went to cross over, he crossed over as well. Then I got alarm bells ringing in my bunts. We got round the corner, and the next minute he'd got hold of me, and he must have done it so often, but the next minute I was in and out air raid shelter in the street. He pushed me in the air raid shelter and was putting my clothes off. I never told anybody for years. I never ever told Dad. He put all the buttons off my coat, he was putting on my clothes, and I was struggling, and he was calling me all the names under the sun. I was kicking and screaming. Well, I didn't want to scream because it was 11 o'clock late at night, silly bitch. I should have screamed, but I didn't. I didn't want to. I don't know what you're thinking, do you? Anyway, I managed to get away from him and ran. But it was only four or five doors to Aunt Mag's. And I ran and I got to the door and I'm looking for my key in my handbag. And I thought I didn't want him to come after me because it was only just about here to the front door where I'd left him, run away from him. And I thought if he sees me, and I'm trying to get in the front door, which I did eventually, and I shut the door behind